Okay! Ready, set, go!
In 1986, 120 Americans established yet another world record in skydiving. But this time, Europe decided to pick up the gauntlet thrown across the Atlantic. 1 year after the 120-way in America, 165 skydivers from 14 European nations gathered on the coast of Belgium to try and break the world record. Europe vowed to beat the Americans by 6 skydivers, flying a 126-way over the North Sea. But setting a world record is easier said than done. It would take hours of patient preparation and split-second timing to achieve a goal which would probably only last a little over 3 seconds. A brief moment of glory. As they embarked on their first practice jump together, the world record seemed a long way off. It was Monday, July the 6th. They had only 6 days to build a perfect flying formation of 126 people, the 126 way. As a skydiver jumps out of a plane 15,000 feet above the ground, he feels a rush of air shoot past him. In 15 seconds, he's hurtling toward the earth at a speed of 200 kilometers per hour. As he throws himself out into the empty sky, he fights every animal instinct he has. He not only conquers a physical obstacle, he breaks down an ancient mental barrier as well. Yet few human experiences are as thrilling as skydiving. By changing the position of his body, a jumper can move from left to right, rise or fall, or vary the speed of his fall from 170 to over 300 kilometers per hour. The idea of linking people in flight developed in the late 1950s, and in 1960, the first 10-person formation, or 10-way as it's called, flew over California. 27 years later, Europe was challenging America's domination of the sport. More than just a world record attempt, the challenge would commemorate the 30th anniversary of the Treaty of Rome. What a better way to celebrate the dream of a United States of Europe than to fly a human ring formed by 14 European nationalities in the skies over Belgium, the birthplace of the EEC. Monday's practice jumps were letter perfect. Though most of the skydivers had never flown formations larger than a 60-way, they held an impeccable 82-way for 10 seconds on their third attempt of the day, establishing a new European record. Almost immediately after the American record in 1986, the Cirrus Group, a Belgian association, took on the awesome task of organizing the first European Parachutist Challenge. 1 year and 12 days later, the challenge was on. Though few sponsors believed in the venture enough to back them, the Cirrus Group did manage to get support from Belgium's Minister of Defense, who donated 2 Hercules C-130s. Oxygen needed during the flights up was donated by the German Army, and accommodation was provided by the Koksijde Air Force Base, home of the Belgian Search and Rescue Squad. The skydivers had all volunteered for the record and even helped pay for expenses out of their own pockets. Yet only 126 out of the 165 that rose to the challenge would be able to participate. The difficult task of selecting the final team was the responsibility of the technical committee. Practice jumps were filmed by 4 different cameramen, and each video was carefully analyzed. An individual's performance would determine whether he or she would be entered on the final computer listing for the record attempts. Following each attempt, further videos would continue the selection. On the first day, each jumper wondered if he would make the grade and have a shot at fulfilling a dream, Europe's 126 way. The success of the first day's practice jumps gave everyone an extra boost of confidence. Though skeptics had said it couldn't be done, the team at Coxside now felt they were going to make it. But there was still a lot of work to do.
Okay, ready, set, go!
Tuesday morning, it was time to get down to business. The briefing, which lasted 4 hours, was followed by a detailed flight simulation on the ground. No 2 flight paths can ever cross, and each jumper only gets 1 chance to get it right. If he overshoots his mark, the whole formation is lost. Jack Gregory, a jump master from the United States and a veteran of the American record, is the technical committee leader. He takes charge of the training, explaining the complex patterns to the team.
The trail plane is that one there. It will still be this normal position.
The skydivers are nervous as they board for the first attempt. They do not know what lies ahead. No one has ever attempted a formation this large before. Climbing to 19,000 feet, the skydivers need oxygen to combat hypoxia, which makes a person groggy and slow, a deadly condition when you need your concentration working 200%. 1 minute before the jump, they remove their oxygen masks, stand up, and get into place. 10 seconds before, a flare is fired to alert the second plane, and the first attempt begins. So as not to be too far apart, the skydivers exit the planes in a single wave, tumbling into the blue sky. The ring is separated into 6 color-coded wedges. Each jumper has memorized his flight path, speed, and position during training. As he jumps, the color code helps him to identify his section of the sky. The first ones out are called floaters because they hold back and float like corks, waiting for the base of 12 skydivers to form before linking up, while the last ones out must rip through the air like bullets to catch up with the base below them. As the structure builds, it slows down. Each new link must break in at exactly the right moment, or else, with a whip-like momentum, the ring starts to wobble as the base is literally torn apart. And finally shreds like fragile Belgian lace. The second attempt also fails. Before it even begins to build, the formation is torn apart, and the divers are forced to separate and pull their chutes. Everyone is depressed by the day's failures, and Jack wisely decides to use all Wednesday for briefings and smaller practice jumps to try and pump up the team's flagging spirits. On Thursday, the team takes part in the Airbase's annual air show, and along with thousands of spectators, they're dazzled by the aerial acrobatics of Italy's Frecce Tricolori and Britain's Red Arrows. By Thursday, all the skydivers are back in top form, and under Jack's leadership, each is sure that today will be the day.
All 126. All 126 people, pick up your grips. If you only had one...
Raul Torres, another American, also briefs the team. New selections are made. and a fever spreads through the airbase. This one is going to be it. The team's confidence is contagious, and even the judges get ready in case this might be the big one. A record is not established unless a jump is made in exactly the way described to the judges beforehand, and with a number of people planned. For example, if 150 people jumping together manage to fly a 126 way, it would be a performance, but not a record. For that, you need 126 on 126. Everything goes well on the way up. The two Hercules C-130s are flying in perfect formation, following Jack's innovative flight plan, which calls for them to be about 60 meters apart, one slightly below the other. The aircraft's position is vitally important to a successful attempt. One plane carries the first 80 skydivers, while the other only carries 46. On the first jump, tension pulls at the base and the formation funnels in at the core. The second attempt builds much better. Each diver approaches smoothly as if on an invisible rail, but much too slowly. They only have 90 seconds of free fall in all. At 5,000 feet, the skydivers must break before the formation is complete. On the third attempt, the team feels that their training is starting to pay off. They're starting to fly well together when one diver misses his approach and the team breaks. When a formation is ready to break, those in the base wave their legs, signaling to the rest of the team. As the skydivers let go, each makes a 180-degree turn and heads as fast and as far as possible away from the others for about 10 seconds. From the ground, the break looks like a supernova exploding, followed by a shower of meteorites which bloom into 126 multicolored parachutes. The day's 4 attempts are much better, but not good enough.
Who's missing over there? He was not in?
He was low.
Okay. He went in.
Yeah.
He couldn't stand it. He went in. Listen up, please. Okay. So we had one person who's not here that wasn't in. Okay, and Tom. Okay, now everybody sit down, except the people that were not in, please.
For those who were not in, the challenge is over as they're replaced by other skydivers. Only the best are allowed to continue to try and break the record. Those selected go through the grueling training again. Friday morning, the team runs through the plan before the day's first attempt. Raoul takes charge, patiently repeating instructions.
Everybody do that. Okay, now, this is the way we ought to be set up when we jump out of the airplane. Okay? That's the way it ought to work. That's the way it's got to be. Okay? Any traffic? You pass the person you're supposed to dock on, you're doing your job wrong. Even if they're being a little slow. It's not a race.
After 4 days of jumping, fatigue starts to set in. But that only seems to make them more determined, honing their senses to a fine edge of concentration. Determined to win, the team embarks once again for another attempt at the record. Each one knows that time is running out. They have only 48 hours left. Everything goes according to plan, with each diver following instructions and coming in both smoothly and rapidly. The formation is flying beautifully, flat and stable. It does not wobble with inner tension. Before the break, it builds to 122 divers, the best world performance ever achieved. Breaking the 120 barrier is a great psychological success. By flying 2 divers better than the Americans, the European team proves to itself that they are capable of becoming the world's record holders for the largest formation. 4 more people, and they'll have it. Another attempt that day falls short at 115 on 126. A third also falls short, but the team is obviously flying much, much better. Late Friday afternoon, each one on the team knows that the record is only inches away. They can feel it within their grasp. They know that they're good enough to succeed. Time becomes their enemy, for tomorrow is the last day. Though they're tired, they decide to try one more jump before the light fades on Friday evening.
This is our last walkthrough before we board. So let's pay attention, concentrate, and for God's sakes, have fun. Okay.
Ready, set, go!
After exiting from the aircraft exactly according to plan, the base of 12 skydivers forms rapidly. Spectators on the ground stand in awe as the formation starts to take shape. A second ring of 12 joins on, followed by 2 rows of 24. 72 skydivers are now flying together, and the structure is clearly visible from the ground. Slowly but surely, the star builds. A link of 36 skydivers is added on before the final 18 approach. The team is flying as a single body. The effect is spectacular, as the giant multicolored star flies over the North Sea in the late afternoon sunshine. But the record is not to be. Two skydivers have overshot their mark. However, the team achieves another world performance, flying 124 for an incredible 14 seconds. Though they didn't quite make it, the exhilaration is great, both on the ground and in the sky. As the sun sets on the North Sea, they know tomorrow will be the day. At that evening's debriefing with Jack and Raoul, the team's spirit is at its highest.
This is looking good. Are we having fun yet?
Yeah!
Okay. Now, that thing started out, I think, a heck of a lot nicer. This whole formation was flying a lot better. Do you agree? Or... Yeah.
Tomorrow is the last day. Saturday morning, the team can feel the tension rising. 126 people must link up, not only in the sky, but in their minds, for the 126th way to fly. 126 people.
Okay.
who didn't know each other only 6 short days before, who come from different countries, speak different languages, must come together as a team and become something larger, more powerful than 126 separate individuals. It is 8:30 in the morning, Saturday, July 11th, 1987. Each one does his job perfectly, and the structure literally flows into place. Without a hitch, the formation builds rapidly and regularly. 12, 24, 48, 72, 108, and finally 126 people are linked together in a single formation. 126 European skydivers fly in harmony together for exactly 4 seconds 68, a new world record. On the last day of the first European Parachutist Challenge, Europe has wrested the world record from America for the first time in skydiving history.